Hey everyone, it's Kristen. Once again, welcome to my cruise channel. This week we're going to talk about different types of cabins and how to choose the one that works best for you. As always, I do not own any of the images presented in this video. Those all belong to the respective cruise lines. So, for starters, you want to think of your price point. Some cabins, their prices are determined by the type of cabin that you get. And the lower the category of cabin, the more money you're going to save. Second, you want to think about the type of cabin that will suit your needs. There's several different types. Usually these include the interior cabins, which is fantastic if you don't plan on spending a lot of time in your cabin, as these are usually inside cabins that have no windows whatsoever. And then the next category up, which would work well for those that may not spend a lot of time in their cabin, but they may want to look at the outside, is those that have an ocean view. These are generally going to bump you up in terms of your price point. However, there won't be a balcony, but you'll still be able to see the outside, and so it's kind of the best of both worlds. Then the next category up would be the balcony cabins, sometimes known as the veranda cabins. These cabins are pretty much self-explanatory. They do have a deck that does lead to the outside. It's a private deck. Some cruise companies will actually allow you to have adjoining cabins. So if you're a larger family and you want to save money, this might be one of the ways that you might want to consider. However, this will also bump up your price point if you choose to have a veranda or a balcony. And then finally, you have what's called the suites, which are generally much more expensive, and it depends on the cruise line what perks you'll get. Sometimes these include private butlers, sometimes these include special areas on the cruise just for you, so that's something that you want to consider. You also want to consider the size of your party, because you'll find some cabins only suit 2 people, some fit 4, some fit as much as 5. But again, this also is determined by your price point, so you might want to check with your cruise line about that. And then finally, you want to consider location. For example, if you're prone to seasickness, you might want to consider getting a cabin that's on a lower deck, closer to midship. However, if you're more of the party, you might want to get something that's closer towards the front of the ship. Or if food is definitely a big thing for you, get something more towards the back of the ship, where they generally have more food options available to you. With that in mind, you'll also want to keep in mind the noise level when selecting your cabins. For example, if you don't spend a lot of time in your cabin, however, you're more into the party scene, maybe something towards the front of the ship where they have a lot of the clubs and things like that is not going to bother you. The downside to that is when you're in the front of the ship, you're also going to hear the thrusters and everything when they dock. So if you get something towards the back of the ship, you won't get all of that noise. However, you also want to consider what's going to be above your cabin and what's going to be below your cabin, because that could also pose some insulation issues. I've had cabins all over the ship. I've never really had too much of a problem with that. I can pretty much count on one hand how many times I've had issues with noise. So those are the things. That's my tips for deciding what cabin to book, what's your price point, things like that. Again, your TA will be able to help you with all this, and they might even actually be able to recommend a cabin for you if you tell them all of your needs. So that's all I have for right now. As always, I will see you later, and bon voyage!